dun, 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 dun. What's up? What's up? We have a Cash and a Nathan and a Robert Spence in the house opening the show. It is 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, which you probably are because I'm just joining us, say hi. Let us know where you're from. Good song. REM is also from Athens. So a bigger claim to fame. Actually love REM. B-52s are okay. But hi, Amy Ellickson. It's good to see you. Yeah, it's good to see everyone. Let's see, we were here 2 weeks ago. So it is Ethan Cash. Very exciting. As always, we'll give it another minute for people to get in, get settled. If you're just joining us, welcome. Feel free to say hello, where you're from, favorite way to cook chicken. I just found this Instagram. Maybe you guys know about it. It's called Eating Raw Chicken Till My Raw Chicken Experiment. It's triggering for me, but I can't stop watching it. And it's basically this guy who's basically set this challenge that says, I'm going to eat raw chicken until I get a tummy ache. That's how he says it. I'm going to eat raw. So it says day 63, eating raw chicken until I get a tummy ache. And he takes this giant piece of raw chicken and he eats it in all the various ways you would make a cooked chicken, just doesn't cook it, and drinks raw eggs with it. And he's like on day 70 and has at least he's claimed he has not been sick. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, great question, Amy. I don't know, but I'm always afraid my chicken's raw. So, like, watching this guy, it's like, well, I have nothing to worry about. This is fantastic. Coming up on 2 minutes past the hour. If you're just joining us, hi, HG from Kansas. Love Lana in the house. Hi, Jennifer Winters from Manchester, UK. Maybe Matt will be here. We have a lot of UK folks as well. So you will not be alone in the later. Jesse Birnbaum in the house. Yeah, let's get started. But if you're just joining us, say hi. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're from. And let's get through some housekeeping. So my name is Ethan Smith. I'm a national advocate for the International OCD Foundation. This community conversation is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. The International OCD Foundation is not a crisis hotline. If you're in a crisis or ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room or call 911 or the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988. As always, we want to create a safe space and be kind and respectful to everyone. At the end of the day, we're here to support one another. So note this is being broadcast on several social media platforms and is being recorded. So keep that in mind as we open up and get raw about our lives. Raw is a play on chicken, and it was not that funny. Jesse is probably judging me at the moment. So first of all, how is everyone tonight? I always feel like 2 weeks feels like 2 years all the time. So how's everyone doing tonight? Let's see. Pickman, it's nice to see you. I accidentally ate a bite of raw chicken in a salad a few months ago, and I freaked out for the next 10 days or so, but ended up not getting sick. Right? That's the mind thing. It's like, I protected myself, and then I wasted 10 days. So is it worth it to freak out for 10 days or sizemore just roll with it and see what happens? But no, I get that way around chicken too. I assume all chicken is pink unless it's black, and then it's not pink. Hey, Mike Sizemore, good to see you. Matt Bannister in the house. We have a friend in Manchester tonight, Matt. So on the other side of the pond and maybe close to you. And Jesse was judging me. I figured so. All right, so let's get started. So I have some stories. I was debating whether to tell them or not because they're still pretty raw and personal. My month has been really interesting. I thought you might find it interesting. Jesse may find it interesting. KFC chicken. Yeah, they do have KFC in the UK. It's great to see you too, Mike. But before I potentially launch into a story, I'm still debating whether to tell it, to be honest with you. How's everyone doing? Do you have any questions, topics, anything that's on your mind that you've been wanting to ask? Cash wants me to tell the story. It's about health anxiety, but it's also about real health stuff and navigating it. So curious to everyone's thoughts. It'll be pretty raw and vulnerable because I'm still in the midst of it, but I don't know. Seems I like to keep things pretty authentic and real as they happen. Um, but as always, first I want to give you all an opportunity to talk about things that are important to you as well. Nando's chicken. I've never heard of Nando's chicken, HG. Love Lana. Love to hear it. All right. One more vote and I'll start talking. Don't threaten me. As I tell my story, with that being said, as always, I'll keep an eye on the comments. So if you have questions, Matt Bannister, hello to my fellow UK brethren, and sisterin, I think. Uh, but yes, if I think of anything, if you think of anything, or want to stop me and ask a question, or have something on your mind that you want to talk about, please feel free to interrupt me, and I will stop and weigh in. This is always a two-way conversation. So, and I will say, perhaps this has a small trigger warning. It shouldn't be too triggery, but just giving that heads up. So, I was in. I don't think anybody knows. It's kind of weird to tell this story like right here when even people at my work don't really know. Hi, Denise Eganstack. Okay, I'm going to tell this story. Oh, it's good to see you. Popeye's chicken, though paltry serving sizes. Popeyes is good. So here's my story. So I was in Los Angeles at the beginning of March shooting commercials, it's one of my favorite things to do. I was directing and writing and producing, and it is something I really enjoy. It's one of my passions is being on set. And uh, I will give you a little bit of context, which was about 3 weeks earlier. I was having some burning in my chest, so I went to the doctor, and they scheduled a endoscopy to check things out, see if it's heartburn or whatever's happening. So that was the context. So I was already kind of living with some health anxiety and some unknown, although I just chalked it up to what it was. And it was a Sunday night, and I had just finished my last day of a 3-day huge shoot, and I was feeling really good about everything. Accomplishments, when you're on that high, and you just feel like, you know, you can conquer the world. You've just finished a massive responsibility that, of course, your OCD and anxiety has been picking at, saying, "Oh, you're not going to finish it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to." All the fears that are associated with, having OCD and anxiety and doing something that's in front of a lot of people. So went to bed that night and woke up in the middle of the night and felt something stuck in my throat and coughed and spit up blood, which was terrifying. So I ran to the bathroom and it kept happening. It's tricky because when you have health anxiety, you don't want to panic, but being across the country from my wife, and I don't even think I've ever been alone in an Airbnb. I lived alone for 8 years, but it's just been a minute since I've been away from people. um, I immediately went into like complete panic, complete, complete panic anxiety mode, fight or flight. I was flight. I really, in that moment, thought I was going to die because, I mean, I think that's a fair, scary thing that you're spitting up blood. That's scary. I think that's valid. I think most people would do that and be like, that can't be good. Feel free to reassure here. Do not reassure me. So, I love it. Yeah, it's the conference is in Orlando. Um, thank you, Matt. So, I called a good friend of mine that lived about a mile away, and when you have health anxiety and you've struggled with it a lot of your life, uh, you're a lot more cautious about when is it an emergency and when it isn't. I mean, sometimes you just know flat out, and I was pretty sure this was, but then I didn't want to give in to my OCD, and it was as red as the raw chicken. Fair. You're funny, Jesse. Uh, so I called my friend, and she picked me up and took me to the ER. Okay. So by this point, it's really fascinating because your body, it can't stay at a 12. So I went through a range of emotions where my OCD was saying, "You're never going to see Katie again. You're never going to see your parents again. You're never going to see anybody you care about again. And most importantly, you're never going to see Cash again." I also blamed Cash in this moment because he tried to kill me months ago, and I thought that this was his fault. So I'm totally kidding about that, by the way. But by the time I got to the waiting room and the ER at like 2 in the morning, my body was much calmer, um, which was good. So I go to the ER and they run a zillion tests on me. And wow, hello. I don't want to Nakibullah. Hopefully I got that right from Afghanistan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so grateful to have you here. Um, so I went and I got I went and I got tests, obviously CT scans, all the things. And out over the course of 3 or 4 hours, they came back and the doctor finally came up to me and he goes, all your now oh ps like when I had terrible health anxiety before I really overcame it, I loved tests. Like give me tests. I do not like going to the doctor anymore. I do not like extra tests. They just make me uncomfortable and I just really want to focus on life and not illness. And I'm sure we all feel similarly. So they come back and they give me the tests back and they're like, we can't really find where you're bleeding from. So we're gonna say it's GERD or some sort of heartburn, and that's fantastic. And I was like, great. And he said, but, and I was like, no, no buts, please, no buts. He said, I want to show you this on your CAT scan, and he showed me, and it said that I had a mass in my abdomen, and that he wasn't sure what it was, and that it was in a precarious place and it needed further evaluation. I was very glad that I had my friend Anna there because what I heard him say was, "Hi, Ethan, you have stage 4 cancer and you're going to die in a week. Good luck with your life," which isn't what he said, but that's what I heard. So I was already tuned out, panicking, all the thoughts, all the feelings. Exactly, Cash. Mine had too. Fortunately, Anna was there to sort of say, let me tell you what he actually said. And what he actually said was just that there's a mass in your stomach, and we're not sure what it is. And you need further testing. I asked him if it was huge. He said no, but it's not small. I said, okay. I said, is it something I need to do something about, right? Like, is it attached to? He said no. I said, he's like, how much longer are you in LA? And I said, another week. I have work. And he goes, yep, no problem. Be here another week, but go ahead and start scheduling stuff for when you get home. So I said, okay. And I went home. So now's the really challenging part because there's something real that's happening to me. I don't know what it is. And my health anxiety and OCD are absolutely screaming at me. You know, was the CT scan, and let me know if you have questions, or not about me necessarily, but if you have questions or anything, I'm happy to stop at any moment. If you want me to keep going, I'll keep going. But but of course, my OCD is screaming, it's cancer. It's spread throughout my whole body. It's attached to everything. And because I always had an OCD fear of going to the doctor, them looking at something and finding something else and being like, you know, we were looking at this one and it literally happened. My fear happened. And of course I Googled, which is the worst thing you can do. But at first you're like, all right, let me learn a little bit. So I took the CT scan report and I put it into the Google, and the Google told me all kinds of terrifying shit. Sorry to curse. And it wasn't like it wasn't like when you typically Google and there's like 800 things it can be, and we just automatically default to the scariest thing. It was like there were 4 things and 3 of them were horrible. So I was like, okay, this sucks. So I text my therapist right away, and I said, I need to meet with you. And yeah, I hear you, Cash. I totally get that. And we immediately met. She saw me that afternoon, and we talked about what the facts we had now. And I think this is important to repeat because I will say that I am usually known for telling the story after the fact. Nice bruise for my IVs. Uh, Usually known for telling stories after the fact, although I always talk about when I'm struggling. But I'm going to pat myself on the back. I've uh, probably done the best I've ever done in the last 3.5 to 4 weeks with something like this, which is real, and any human being with or without anxiety would be concerned about this and thrown. Um, so I think out of the 3 weeks or 4 weeks that this has been happening, I really just kind of struggled and stayed in bed maybe a day and a half. Um, and and all the time else, thank you, Jesse. And all the time else really just continued through my values. And opposite action, leaned into acceptance commitment therapy, ERP. I mean, I ended up working the rest of that week on the commercial. I went to a bat mitzvah that weekend and I flew home. And being distracted with work really, really helped. But once I got home, I was afraid that it was going to get way worse because I would have more time to think. I wasn't in Los Angeles. I didn't have a lot of distraction. And the first day was kind of hard. And then I was like, no, I'm going to stick with the lessons. So what were the lessons? The lessons are: one, we can only go by what we know right now, which was, and I'm going to repeat myself because it's important for the lessons in OCD and management of anxiety, not for repeating myself, but it's a mass. We don't know what it is. He didn't say it was urgent and it needed to come out 4 days ago. He said it could wait till I got home. And then you need further analysis. So the best thing I could do for myself was trust that. Now, as we know, that is so hard. My brain, I kept telling my therapist my brain was on fire because it just kept driving home the scariest possible scenarios. And you've heard me talk. Those of you know, I got married 5 months ago. We're looking for a house. Like the narrative in my mind was the story that you hear, where it's like, oh, we just got married. They were going to start a family. They were looking to move, and then he got struck down. Like that was just emphatically being drilled in my head by my OCD. And so that was challenging. The other thing that happened is I ran into some new core fears that I didn't know I had. I used to think that I was afraid of dying. And that was my core fear. It's not true. I discovered through this process that my core fear is being afraid that I'm going to leave people and leaving and being alone. And some existential stuff around that, which I had no clue. This is why I was really struggling with so much of this and how I responded the way I did the night that everything it started. So over the last 2 weeks, I want to get to some questions. So over the last 2 weeks, I've done a ton of tests to figure out. I had the endoscopy, which wasn't fun, and MRIs and blood tests, all the things. And of course, I feel like there's an OCD watch list, and I'm on it. And I think all of us are on it. And what happens is when the possibility of certainty is there, they look at this list and they go, no, he has OCD. We're not going to give you that answer. We're going to give you the answer. There's just a little bit of room for scary shit. So I got the results back of everything yesterday, at least of these kind of things. And the result was that mass was indeed in a peculiar place in my stomach. However, it was considerably smaller than the CT had shown. The diagnose it. Of course, there's the level of uncertainty, but they felt fairly confident that it at least aligned with something non-aggressive and non-pathological and benign, which is the word that you want to hear. And then it said, you'll need to follow up in 3 months to get another MRI to see if there's been any changes or things like that. So, of course, the answer I was hoping for was, this is 100% blah blah blah, and don't ever think about it again. Which OCD wouldn't have cared if that was the answer. That's the answer I want now, but OCD would have been like, but they're wrong. I mean, stuff does happen. They're practicing medicine. Uh, they've been 100%. I know lots of people that they said it was nothing, and then 3 years later, it was majorly something. So then I was like, well, you know what? This is great because this isn't my worst nightmare. This isn't what OCD was screaming about. This is manageable. And if I have to live with uncertainty every my OCD screaming at me since then. First, I was relieved, and it's like, yeah, but they don't know what it could do in 3 months. They don't know what it could do in 2 months. They don't know what it could be in 1 month. What if it was one a freak thing in 3 months? I just can't do that. I really can't. I have too much going on, and I have to trust in the experts that have told me what they think it is, and done my due diligence and listened to other people. So my therapist, my wife, my close friends that will tell me, because I know when I don't have a lot of insight in something, and they'll say, you might want to get a second opinion, or no, this sounds like a good plan. And that's where I am right now. So I have still waiting for some tests to come back on the endoscopy and some other things, but overall, everything looks good. And I've now had almost every one of my organs CAT scanned, and they're all healthy. So, there's that. Um, I think that So I think what's challenging is, and I said this to my therapist, and I said this to my friends, which is, the most painful, challenging part of all of this has been the OCD and the health anxiety. It hasn't been the actual issue, because the actual issue, I didn't even know was happening. I wasn't sick. I mean, I had the blood thing, but that ended in 30 minutes, and I was scarred for 4 or 5 days. I'll talk about that, but gosh, when your OCD is on fire and your health anxiety is on fire and you're getting those rushes of adrenaline and your heart's racing and your brain is just screaming at you that you're being irresponsible and that this is going to kill you or whatever your subtype or symptom is, it's so challenging to stay present. It's so challenging to take action. So challenging to live toward your values. When your values are living and your brain selling you, you're not gonna. There's no reason to do that. You're not gonna. Um, but I think the reason I chose to tell this story when literally no one knows it is because um, I think I forgot how strong I was. And I'm not bragging. I'm you. I'm always you, and you're me. And regardless of symptom, regardless of subtype, regardless of location, we're all kind of built the same way: extremely handsome, talented, smart, or beautiful, or however you identify. But regardless, we're very gorgeous people. And the reality is that I think we sometimes forget our inner strength and what we're made of. And I think I forgot. I think it'd been a minute since I've been down to hell and back with OCD. And I don't, I kind of was thinking, I was talking to Kim Quinlan about this today in a text, and I was like, I was actually thinking like, oh, that Ethan doesn't exist anymore. That super strong Ethan. Like maybe I was younger, or maybe it just went away and I don't have it, or maybe it was a one off. You get one chance to be super strong, and then it doesn't exist. But that is so not the truth. There's things that happen to people that are a lot scarier. This was my reality the past 3 weeks, and maybe it wouldn't have scared some people, but it scared the crap out of me. And but you know what? I did awesome the past 4 weeks. And I think that we're all made of this same stuff where we can bring ourselves where we are. We can meet ourselves where we are. I mean, that's what it means to sit with the uncertainty, where you bring it. And I had meetings, and was I present for all of them? No. Was I Googling for some of them? Yes. And for the first time also, when I'm struggling, I tend to retreat. I tend to go in a shell and get really quiet and hide. I didn't do that this time. I reached out to friends, um, and a lot of friends that we all know here, in the community and was just honest and actually sought support. And I don't know a time that I've really done that outside of, my family. Um, it may have been pride, it may have been embarrassment, but I did, and it made a huge difference. And it's stupid because I always talk about community and I always talk about how amazing this community is, and then, say do as I say, not as I do. When I struggle, I'm like, oh no, I don't want to burden anyone. I don't want anybody to be upset. I don't want to bring down anybody. I don't want to make anybody depressed. Uh, but the lesson is, I don't know what's to come. I don't know. I have more results that are coming back. I don't know what's going to happen in 3 months, but I'm going to stick with the narrative that I've been told, which is we think this is nothing. And in 3 months, it'll either be the same or it won't, and we'll take it out. And it'll be a one off, and that's it. And I'm good with that because at the end of the day, it doesn't change the level of uncertainty in our lives. Doesn't change the level of uncertainty in our lives. I think about this sometimes. It's like, okay, I'm good. Except, do I know I'm good? Like, could I have an aneurysm in my foot that goes to my heart or my brain or my leg? Or, yes, there's 1,000 other things that could kill me. So that's why it's so important. And, God knows I don't do this every time. And, I don't. And I did this time, and I'm proud of myself. But what certainty do we have? This was the focus, but gosh, um, thank you, Jen, and thank you for all the kind comments. I'm sorry, I'll go back, but thank you for all the sweet comments. I really appreciate it. Um, and I'm proud of you, Jen, for listening. That's awesome. Um, but I could still walk outside and get hit by a bus or whatever. There's so much uncertainty that still exists. So what does that mean? It means that we have to do the best we can. It means we have to live according to our values. It means that we have to take the fears and the uncertainties and the gross feelings and the ick and stick with it, as Katie says. You know, um, and I think we all can. I really think we can. And I was reminded of that. And there's always one thing I knew about this whole thing is there would be a silver lining, and there always are silver linings, multiple. And I'm glad I rediscovered some of like who I am, what I had, what I have. Because I don't feel like I'd been doing a good job up till now over the past year and a half, 2 years of really walking the walk. And I've shared everything with you. So, I stay true to who I am, but I felt like I really owned it this time. And I also feel like that you all hold me accountable to that standard where I definitely think about Cash and Matt and and uh, and Jesse and all of you, and I think about our community, and I think about, well, what do I want to say on Tuesday night? Do I mean, you will embrace me either way, but do I want to come here and say they found this thing and I've been in bed for 3.5 weeks and I made it. Yes, it's a win to be here and talking about it, but do I want to tell that narrative or do I want to tell this story? And I was like, I want to tell this story. So I need to live this story to tell it. And that's the power of this community, and that's the power of treatment, recovery, the IOCDF, our friends, our family, um, reality television, uh, my wife, who's incredible, and just supported me in all kinds of ways. So that's the story. Um, and yeah, you're the first to know. But I learned that I'm seemingly really healthy, and we'll keep on doing life and living things. But it was a good, meaningful reminder, um, and I'm grateful for it. And I think I'm also excited to continue to have a piece of uncertainty that's going to be with me for a while because I think it's going to hold me accountable. I think it's going to make me stronger. I think it's going to inspire me to do things a little more, not take things. I don't know. Just I learned that I was able to live with a level of uncertainty that I didn't think I'd ever be able to. Because I also kind of had the trauma of waking up and I don't use that word trauma lightly, but the fear that it was a traumatic. I'm not saying I have long term trauma, but the traumatic event of waking up, spitting up blood, which was terrifying, and that gave me some nightmares for a few weeks as well. So it's been a lot, but the reality is we're here, we're together, we're talking about it. We are letting people know that there's hope and strength, and it isn't always easy. And and we're in it with you. Whether you see us on a live stream or see us at a conference, or the word IOCDF advocate, you know, I'm very grateful to that title, but it really doesn't mean anything. It means that I have OCD and I'm really loud about it, and I won't stop talking about it till everybody has treatment, accessible, affordable, effective treatment. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We have our ups or downs, but we're all just trying to do the best we can. So, thank you for letting me share about that. I think you continues to hold me to a level of accountability that I look forward to striving for, no matter what else I learn. I don't. It won't be perfect. I know it won't be perfect. Um, you know, just more wins than less wins, and more good days than bad days, or more good hours than more good hours than bad hours, and all those things. So, with that, did that spark any questions for anybody? Any comments? Any thoughts? Um, Tell me where your heads are at. And thank you again. I'm scrolling back. Thank you again for all the sweet comments. I really appreciate it. Um, and yeah, I thought it was important at the end of the day to share for the sole reason of reminding everyone who we are and what we're made of. And yeah, we're all different individuals for sure. Of course we are. We're individuals, but we all have this thing in common. And I truly believe that this thing in common also comes with other things in common. And those other things are not necessarily, the disease or the disorder. They're the creativity, they're the intelligence, they're the compassion, they're the love for everyone else. So it's the desire to give back. What makes this community so insanely amazing, and those are the things that we all share together. So um, I thought it might be helpful to know that we really are in it together. So when you see myself or Katie or Liz or Chris, or any of the regulars on here, um, we're never speaking from a platform, ever, ever, ever. And if we're confident, it's because we're passionate. But there's always something going on in some way or another. We're always fighting the good fight with you, and we're always in it together. And you inspire us, and hopefully we inspire you. Uh, Robert Spencer, hey, Ethan's OCD. Shut the F up. I figure if I can talk back to my own, I can talk back. I think everybody, I think everybody's allowed to talk to everybody else's OCD. I think if you have OCD, that gives you the all access pass to say to anyone, blah, 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 blah. That's nice. I'm gonna just let you keep yapping away, and I'm gonna go do what is really important and meaningful to me. So absolutely, Robert. I think we all have an all access pass. Uh, Eric B wrote, awesome sharing. I'm kind of having a tough day, but I keep being reminded of how much support I have, which I really appreciate. Oh, for sure. Absolutely, Eric. So I'm curious, how is everyone else doing with sitting with distress? Um, where are you right now in your life? Are you in that period of time where it feels kind of carefree and easy? Are you dealing with some stuff? And if you are, how are you dealing with it? Um, are you able to move through it and bring it with you? Do you feel challenged or stuck? Um, do you feel like OCD is right now just this 1,000-pound weight around your ankle that's making it impossible for you to move? Where are you at? Robert wrote, bring me your OCD and I'll lay some smack down. I like it. I like it. Because I think that at the end of the day, I always think, embracing certain amounts of uncertainty is or any uncertainty is the skeleton key to this whole thing. Um, Cindy Amore wrote, yes and no, scared to retire and have stale time. Well, Cindy, just because you're retiring doesn't mean that you necessarily have to have downtime. Are you thinking about filling your time with other hobbies or things that you're passionate about or enjoy? Um, Beyond, and what do you currently do, and what are you retiring from? And congratulations, that's quite a milestone. Uh, Valencia wrote, I am pushing through. How are you pushing through? I'm curious. Jen at 735 wrote, switched thyroid meds and it tripped my anxiety and OCD big time. Finally starting to feel better, but also irritated that the smallest thing can have such a setback. Let's talk about that a second. Um, so Jen at 7:35 p.m. I just want to say that with OCD and anxiety, you know, I don't like to look at things, or I try not to look at things as something that's small, and therefore it creates this massive setback. Um, I think that's the nature of OCD and anxiety. I mean, I think a beautiful analogy that I'm just thinking of is the smallest rock can create a massive avalanche. We've all seen the videos, or even just vibration. Um, I think that we have to move away from this idea of I got tripped up over something stupid. I don't think there is anything stupid. I think that we have a disorder, and no different than somebody with maybe MS that walked a little too far one day and is really struggling the next day. I think switching medications is a challenging thing to do. I think it throws your body chemistry off, and it makes total sense that your anxiety and OCD would be triggered as well. And I think that can be hard to see when you're on that side of it. But I want to challenge everyone to kind of look at as when their OCD is triggered and when they're feeling challenged. Um, Try not to be so judgy around the why. You don't have to have, in fact, rarely does it have to be a catastrophic incident that causes a setback. And is it a setback or is it a lapse? Because I'm pretty sure it's a lapse. It may feel like a setback, it may feel like quote unquote relapse, but it usually is a challenging time that we have to face and work through. It's actually times that we have to maybe take our skills to the next level. And therefore it feels like work. And we blame ourselves for that when really we have nothing to blame ourselves for because we have OCD. And so I'm glad you mentioned that because um, I get irritated too. But let's remind ourselves that it is completely valid to feel irritated when OCD gets loud and angry, but also it's part of the genetic makeup of how it works. And so we're not going to beat ourselves up over it. We're going to go, up, must be that time of year. Yep, it is. It's March, and that means Ethan's OCD is going to get loud for whatever reason, and I'm just going to blame that on the OCD, and we're going to leave it at that. And that's hard to do, but let's try to do it. Susan Myers wrote, "It's 1,000-pound weight, but trudging through. My motto is fake it until you make it. Hopefully, I'll make it. You'll make it, Susan. I love that motto. I live for fake it till you make it, and so I'm a big fan of that motto. But if you have any questions, we are definitely here to support. Cindy works as an accountant. God bless you. I'm so bad at math. Talk about something that gives me anxiety. Math class in high school. Oh my gosh, the worst. Phyllis Taylor, 735. Does anyone have any advice on motivation? I get so unproductive because I avoid doing anything that will make my compulsions act up. I have some advice. um, I think that motivation, well, I think that many of us, from my own experience, we define motivation as a feeling, and I think it is a feeling. But I think we wait for that feeling to then be motivated to do something, and I think that's where we get tripped up. I challenge anyone on the motivation front to do something if you're not feeling motivated, because when it comes to OCD and anxiety, I would say we're probably not going to feel motivated a considerable amount of time until we've been systematically consistent in taking action in something. And once we've been systematically consistent, then the motivation, that those feelings change. But you've heard that saying, bring the body and the mind will follow. The easy analogy is I'm going to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't feel like going to the gym, but I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out because that's the healthy thing to do. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I freaking hate the gym, but lots of people tell me that's how they feel. I think this is the same thing, whether that's getting up and taking a shower, going out and taking a walk, calling a friend, making dinner, I think we need to not pay so close attention to our feelings, and waiting to feel like we want to do it. Let's try to move past that. Sit with, yeah, I don't care, but I do need to move my body. And as long as I can move my body, as long as I can pick things up, as long as I'm not bolted down to the floor, I'm going to. I remember, oh, was it Beth Carducci who said, like, I wanted to make a meme out of it because she's like, I was crying and doing dishes. Somebody remind me if they were there. I think that's what it was. But it was such a great analogy. She was like, I was crying and doing dishes. And I was like, that's it. That's what we need to do. Everybody needs to cry and do dishes, literally or figuratively. So I think the motivation will come, but we have to first take the action. And um, and I hear you on the compulsion piece. And I think that having skill, so I actually only answered the first question when you had a follow up as to why you aren't motivated, which is to you don't want to be compulsing, and I totally understand that. So you're welcome for the question that I didn't answer. Quickly, I think that getting skills and tools around managing compulsions and response prevention, whether that's exposure and response prevention or other exposure based treatments, evidence based treatments. I think once you have an arsenal and a toolkit, then you can really put into practice this idea of what I just said, which is moving physically into that space, knowing that you can handle it. No matter how scary it is, you can handle it. It may not be perfect, but there's the only way past the fire is through the fire. And it may get hot, it may get a little burny, but you will make it through to the other side. I know it doesn't feel like that, but you will. Um, Valencia stayed in my house so long, afraid now I get out certainty. I get out certainly masked, but pushing through. I love that, Valencia. I wonder if Deirdre's here. You should talk to Deirdre. She was in our house, I think for 2.5 or 3 years, or maybe even longer, and has really been challenging herself. Yeah, it's scary. I know it's scary to be out there and post pandemic, and you're not alone in that. But I think keep asking yourselves, what are your values? What do you want to do? What's important to you? And is protecting yourself from that more important than we often create the reality that we're afraid of. It's like, I don't know what your exact reason is, but maybe it's I don't want to get COVID, or what if I get COVID, or what if I get sick and something happens? So we end up so what happens if you get sick? Maybe you're afraid that you'll be in bed and not be able to do anything, or die, whatever that is, right? But when you're staying inside all the time, you're in that essence living as if you were sick because you're not doing anything. And I have been there. So I commend you for pushing through. And I don't think there's a certain way to do it. So don't judge yourself for how you're doing. And I think putting in a mask and going outside is perfectly okay. I still wear a mask when I fly. So I'm proud of you for trying. I think that's awesome. Sam Fadden, good to see you, Sam. Definitely sitting with a lot of uncertainty these days, really working to remind myself of what is valuable to me and not my OCD. I mean, that's beautifully said in a nutshell, because that's the roadmap. It's like if you can differentiate what's valuable to you and not your OCD, then you know exactly what direction to head. And I know that can seem simple, and it is and it isn't, because we can easily get stuck on, well, what is and what isn't OCD, and what if this is a value, and OCD will start to poke holes in all of those things, which is why we just have to take a shot. We're just going to trust that it is and move forward. I love that, Sam. Thank you for sharing that. And Sam added, and how I can live my life to the greatest every day. I love that. And I'll also, as Kim Quinlan says, I'll settle for a B minus. I think I've been living B minus or B plus days, and I'm good with that. But any day that I have an opportunity to live greatest as well, and I think that is greatest. So I love that. Thank you, Sam. Matt Bannister. I'm dealing with gaslighted situation with a lot of uncertainty for the past month, and it's been really challenging. But like you said brilliantly, Ethan, I'm still leaning into uncertainty with the being it on mindset, following my heart, my values, and striving towards what I believe in, no matter what OCD says or any obstacles that can come out of nowhere. Self-compassion, values, having your why, and moving forward with compassion. I'm sorry you've been in that situation, Matt. I'm really sorry about that, and you said it perfectly. I want to also offer you always say the right thing. I also want to let you know that it's okay to not necessarily feel that way all the time, or to struggle with that, or to be a little bit slower to get out of bed one morning, or maybe you don't get out of bed at all. I think that it is human to experience all the feelings that come with situations like you're describing, And I think what you wrote is always the goal, but it may not always be the realistic goal for the day or the hour or the minute. So that self compassion part is real key. But I think using that as your compass will definitely get you through, along with your friends and people who love you and care about you, like we do. Um, oh, you're welcome, Jen. You're so welcome. And hi, Isastasia. It's great to have you here. It is better late than never, for sure. 7:40 p.m. I agree, Ethan. You have to keep living life every day, whether you want or not, pushing the feelings away. It's the way to get better. I agree, Cindy, and I want to be more specific about feelings. So feelings are valid. I am never suggesting that your feelings are not valid. They are 100% valid. And I was kind of confused by that when I was learning ERP and all the because my therapist would tell me, we don't listen to feelings. We don't care about feelings. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like the way that sounds. My feelings are my feelings. And so I think we can recognize that your feelings are valid. Sorry, allergies. It's awful out. Feelings are valid. B, we're talking about feelings in regards to OCD. So obviously, feelings in life, feelings of love, feelings of sadness, feelings of grief, all the feelings are very, very important. And you should often listen to your feelings. But when it comes to OCD, your feelings are very, very, very sinister and create a lot of illusion. So when I say let's ignore our feelings and just move through it, I'm very much speaking in terms of in the world of OCD and anxiety, and in terms of what you feel like doing. Maybe that's compulsing versus what you feel like not doing, which is maybe that's the value driven action. So way to go, Cindy. Um, Subha at 7:41 says, "How can we keep up with mental compulsions?" I think I'm almost down to the comments. Can you elaborate a little bit on if you're still on? Would you mind elaborating on your question a little bit more? Keeping up, do you mean managing? I'm just curious. Um, oh, thanks, Betsy. I appreciate that. Cash wrote it. But COVID was a mind feck for all, and yes, it was. Oh, die with COVID. Yep. So I don't know, Valencia, if you weren't here, I got my first time getting COVID was in January on a cruise ship, which was my fear. I avoided it for 4 years, and I got it on my honeymoon at sea in the middle of nowhere, just north of South America, and yeah, it freaked me out a little bit too. That was a good community conversation, but I survived, and that's really the what you have to weigh is the fear. Yes, people have died from COVID. That is a fact, and that may make this challenging because. And it made it challenging during the pandemic. COVID is a disease. It is out there. People are dying from it. People are also dying from the flu and RSV and a million other things. So we have to weigh, and you may have circumstances that I don't know about it, and you may not want to share, and that's okay. You might be immunocompromised. You may be living with people that are immunocompromised. It may feel like the situation is more uncertain and more dangerous, and that's valid too. I think that you have to look at your life, you as the individual, and determine the pros and cons of what's important to you. You have a fear of dying for COVID. That's valid. I think we all do. You then have to look at what protecting yourself from dying from COVID is taking away from you. And if you're happy with that, or if you're not happy with that. And if you're not happy with that, then what are the steps that you need to take to move forward in accordance with your values in a healthy way while still managing with the reasonable um, potential or uncertainty that you may get COVID? And if that happens, then what happens? Um, and it isn't easy as it is me saying it. And I think that working with a treatment provider could be extremely helpful. But I think as a place to start, you maybe make a list and ask yourself, what are you missing right now? What are you giving up to protect yourself? And see how that makes you feel, and just start with that as just motivation, just to there's no taking action or anything if you don't want to, just for reflection on the things that you're missing by protecting yourself. But you also said you're trying and getting out there, and I think that's awesome. So just keep at it, a little bit at a time. There's every little step is a big win. Well, Cindy Armour understood Soha's questions. She suggested at 7:43 a.m. you must ignore the thoughts and not give them attention. Detach from the thoughts. Good advice. So by ignore the thoughts, we're talking about not suppressing them, not saying no to them, just letting them be there and not paying them any mind. Similar to the naked guy on the side of the street that's waving at you and spitting out Bible verses, and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to talk to him. Just gonna walk by, and I can still hear him, and hopefully he's not following me. But I'm just gonna assume that we're good. Keep moving forward and detach from the thoughts. So I think what Cindy's referring to is what's called diffusion, and your thoughts confuse to yourself where that's all you see. So the goal is to push the thoughts away from you. This is an acceptance commitment therapy treatment concept, and diffuse away from your thoughts, so that you can see more of the world around you. You can see the thought, you can still hear the naked man behind you. At the same time, though, you can also see the world around you and the direction that you want to head. And obviously, there's some ways to learn how to do that. But Cindy's absolutely right; those are definitely good ways to do that. HG, I'm preparing for a big exposure. We're getting a puppy. We pick him up on Friday. Aw. Well, you'll have to HG next community conversation on the 9th. You're gonna have to tell us all about your puppy, what's your name, what kind of puppy, and also curious why it's an exposure for you. But I'm proud of you. That's awesome. And I agree, Nikki Bradley. Look at what you achieved recently, Valencia. And I think that's what we need to concentrate on. And great job. Just keep at it. Keep at it. Oh, ha! Sorry, I read HG already commented. Golden Retriever, considering name it Wyatt Earp. Wyatt ERP. I kind of love that. That is awesome. And Cash wrote, dogs since 2003 have helped my hygiene OCD bits. LOL. I love pets. We have two cats, and they're just calming and soothing and like vibrating weighted blankets that I also have OCD around, which I've talked about in the past. So yeah, everybody loves the name. HG, I think you've got your name now. Robert Spence wrote, that's interesting. Really, I personified my treatment as the little terrier that pulled open the curtain, revealing the old dude pulling the levers. Well, interesting. I love The Wizard of Oz. And Valencia wrote, I am okay now. I just mask and move forward. That's awesome. I ran for election and won, so it's on now facing the world. Well, holy crap. Congratulations. Will you be our president? That's what did you might have already answered. I'm always behind in the comments, but what did you run for election, and way to get back out there. I'm glad I went off on you. Were probably sitting there while I was talking going like, Ethan, I'm way past this. I appreciate you reading, but you're a little rusty. I've been on a couple weeks, and we're doing stuff. I'm already an elected official. Like meanwhile, I'm like, go to the mailbox. Just try to go to the mailbox. You're like, no. I already ran a campaign. I'm mayor. I am mayor. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Uh, but the naked dude is a great conversationalist, unlike OCD. That is true, probably, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know that. Maybe my OCD is uh, a naked dude spouting Bible verses. I don't know. Although I always felt like my OCD voice was Bernie Sanders, but it's changed since then. But that was always my the way I could tell it differently. Valerie Andrews in the house. So Isa Stage Road, I still can't hug my dogs like I used to. Working on that, they're indeed an exposure. Yeah, little bits at a time. Maybe some good pets at first. Curious. Do you mind me asking what the thought is around that? Oh, we're talking about the Fisher King. Good Robin Williams. I miss Robin Williams. That killed me. I'm sure we all felt the same way, but that sucked. Oh, county commissioner. Wow, that's huge. That's like a real job. Valencia, that's awesome. That's awesome. Way to go. Way to go. What a turn of events. Well, we support you. We can't wait to hear how it goes. I don't know a county commissioner, so I kind of feel like in the know. I don't know what you can pull. I don't remember where you live, but like, restaurant reservations, tickets to something. I'm just tossing it out there, Valencia. I'll give you the email address. It could be fun. We'll have fun. Um, Jen, wanting to attend the conference, ways to make it affordable. Katie mentioned volunteering. Yeah, volunteering is a great way. You can reach out to the IOCDF. I'm not sure if the volunteer, Amanda would probably know, but there always is a link to sign up to volunteer. It offsets the cost, and it really is great because I think you only do something like 1 or 2 hours for the whole conference, and then you get free registration for the whole weekend. So it isn't like you're buried, the entire time, and you don't get to do anything. Vance County, Henderson, North Carolina. Oh, that's awesome. I love North Carolina. All right, this is good. We'll talk Valencia. I want all the royal treatment when I go. The red carpet, private airport. I don't know what the county commissioner does, but if you're doing it, I'm just kidding. I'm really proud of you. That's super exciting. And I really don't know a county commissioner, so it's kind of awesome. Hey, Val with the heart. It's good to see you. Robin Williams was such a close family friend, and my dad was his business manager. Oh, wow, Sam. Wow, I didn't know that. So as somebody, wow, I'm kind of speechless. So as an actor for many many years and in the industry, he was one of my icons and idols, and I looked up to him as a comedian. And unfortunately, I never got to meet him, and I was super bummed I didn't. Um, our paths would have crossed a few times, and they just didn't. And I have friends that knew him, not as intimately as you did, but everything I heard about him was amazing. And I feel sad. He was, a you would know better, but from all the things I've read and learned, he was oh, what's the word? A tortured genius, and but with a big heart. Oh my gosh, the blankie, amazing. Yeah, that's so great to hear, Sam. Uh, it was. I think we all felt like I think we all felt like we lost somebody we knew when Robin left us, because he just brought so much joy to, yeah, torture genius, yeah, he brought so much joy to so many people, and he was just so brilliant. And I was like, if I had like his pinky worth of talent, it was amazing. Well, I had no idea, Sam. Now I want to pick your brain and talk about all the things. All right, 3 minutes. Um, any last questions? But most importantly, I want to circle back around to um I take that as a compliment, Cash. Cash wrote, like, when you die, Ethan. I'll take it. I will take Torture Genius all day long. Um, that's awesome. Well done. Well done. I want to thank everyone for letting me share the first half hour. Like I said, I hadn't talked about it at all outside of some very close circles, and I think it was really good. Continued. I feel more grounded, and I feel inspired, and I feel motivated, and again, always reminded how amazing this community is. And so, yeah, I really appreciate everybody listening. And if you don't know what I was talking about, shame on you for not being on time. But it was recorded, so you can check it out. Um, all right. With that, I'm going to do something that's rarely done, and I'm going to try to end on time. So here we go. And thank you, Valencia. You inspire us. We love and appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. So, first of all, I want to thank the IOCDF and Amanda behind the scenes, as always. Tomorrow, if you didn't get your questions answered, I'd love to, Sam. I'm taking you up on that. Tomorrow, Lunch and Learn, 12 p.m. Eastern with Chris and Dr. Liz. They will answer. I think you'll eat lunch and learn something, but they'll also answer your questions. The IOCDF is a donor-supported nonprofit organization. You can consider making a donation at iocdf.org/donate. Also, for those of you that are interested in volunteering, you can go to conference at IOC. It's an email address, conference@iocdf.org, and answer questions. Maybe get on a list until it goes live. So that's conference@iocdf.org. You can also take our live stream survey to tell us what you'd like to see on this platform. We look forward to your feedback. The survey can be found at iocdf.org/live stream survey. Good morning, Vietnam was amazing. Agreed. Registration for the Faith and OCD conference is now available. It's now open. You can join us for this collaborative conversation between faith leaders, mental health providers, and the OCD community. You can visit iocdf.org/tomato Matt's accent has gotten into me, and now it's iocdf.org/faithcon for more information. As always, subscribe to and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, all the places. And with that, thank you again. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for all your incredible comments, you supporting one another. Y'all are rock stars. With that, thank you for spending your Tuesday evening with us. I will actually be on the town hall, which is April 2nd. It'll be my birthday. Maybe we'll do a giveaway next week. Maybe I can talk some people into donating stuff. We're doing a town hall on OCD 101. So if you know people or you want to learn more about the basics about OCD, or you have friends that maybe have a new diagnosis, 7 p.m. Eastern, there'll be a link on the website. But 7 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday, April 2nd, it'll be my birthday, and I think we're going to have Katie will be on the stream, and maybe Michelle Massey and some other folks. So join us, and then another community conversation on April 9th. So 2 Tuesdays from tonight. My accent sounds like Sean Bean. Lord of Winterfell. That's kind of badass. I'm going to be honest with you, Matt. That's how there's nothing, we can't beat that. We have to end on that. If you have any questions, you can visit info@iocdf.org. Until then, stay safe. Have a wonderful day. Stay vigilant. Feel the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook. And I'll see you next week. Have a good night.